Thank you for joining us for another episode of Talk Talks, sponsored by Photographer Entrepreneurs Association. And if you haven't had a chance to check out the association, go to photographerentrepreneur.com to learn more about photography business resources, templates, training, and support. We'll see you over there. Okay. All right, welcome everyone. We're back again with another awesome interview, and we're here today with Scott Wyden Kivowitz. So, hi Scott, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for being here. Scott brings a lot of knowledge and expertise. We're really excited to dive in and have him share a little bit about what he does in the photography world and all his expertise. So let me first off talk a little bit about him and share with you a little bit about his background. So Scott is the Chief Community Officer at Imagely, a blogger, a photographer, father, and educator. Scott is also the author of numerous books and a regular YouTuber. Scott is a storyteller with a camera, commonly offering cake smash sessions, family portraits, and headshots for his New Jersey clients. But he enjoys traveling and capturing the beauty of the world with his camera. Scott can be found teaching photographers about WordPress on the Imagely website, on Facebook, on his website, and other venues like Digital Photography School. He also has the pleasure of working with photographers on their creativity as an artisan in residence at the Photo Frontier. So lots of good stuff there, Scott.
yeah. You know, it's funny when you hear it like read to you, it's like how does anybody have time for stuff?
I know. I was going to say that. I was like, that must be overwhelming, but you look very relaxed.
Exactly.
Yeah. As you can see, I've got like a mess back here. I'm in the process of getting things together for a big photo thing for us, a fundraiser. So a lot of stuff going on.
Nice. So Scott, why don't we start off by you talking a little bit about your experience and your expertise, and maybe something about your photography business that not that many people know about.
Yeah. So as you said, I do work full time for a company who makes WordPress products for photographers. But I am a professional photographer. I went to school for it. I've been photographing families for years at this point, and the cake smash photography is a little bit more recent. Ever since I became a father, now 3 years ago. Well, you know, but I had the opportunity to photograph cake smash sessions, and just people kept asking for them. So I started adding that to my, arsenal of services, and then headshots. Really kind of been doing that for a long time as well. I did that for businesses back in the day, and then some bands. I was doing it for bands, doing a bunch of different things, and musicians who sort of started like toying with acting as well and stuff like that. So kind of thrown into a bunch of different areas, but I love photographing families overall, and I've been doing that probably the longest of anything. And I really just finding different places to photograph families, and finding, even if the family wants to go to the same place, trying to find new ways to photograph them in the same location. I just get a kick out of it. And of course, having to work around the wonderful conditions that the sun gives you at various horrible times during the day. I kind of love it. I just love figuring out how to get around horrible light. So
you like that challenge.
Yeah. I do like challenges. I think that's one of the things that's going to keep you going as a photographer is really challenging yourself and putting yourself in difficult situations.
Excellent.
That's true. And I think that definitely defines as a creative, because if you always play it safe, then you're going to blend in with everybody else. And I think when you do challenge yourself like that, like you're going to the edge, and you might discover something new. Where you can have those little happy accidents, where you come across something on accident, you're like, wow, that's cool. I'm going to keep doing that. I got great response. So
yeah,
you keep pushing yourself that way.
Yeah. So I don't normally photograph weddings or anything, any sort of events, but a friend of mine asked me to photograph his wedding in New Orleans. And I said, okay, well, I'll go to New Orleans. I usually photograph one wedding a year, and it's usually a special wedding. And it's really just to keep, because as an educator, I need to be on top of things, right? I need to know what's going on in different genres of photography. So I feel like that's a way to refresh my brain in weddings, is to actually do one once a year. And the wedding, I didn't know this until I got there. The wedding was an outdoor wedding, and the outside area had no lighting at all.
Ah.
So hence another challenge is like, okay, well, now what do I do? You know, like I got to figure out how to work with no light. And I brought one flash with me trying to travel light. And so,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
that was definitely the relying on good high ISO noise from the Nikon DF. That thing is a beast when it comes to working in low light. So that was just, you know, challenges.
So speaking of challenges, can you share with us one of your biggest business challenges that you've had to overcome?
Yeah. So finding, and this is probably something that a lot of photographers are thinking all the time and experiencing all the time, is finding local families who care about professional photographs and prints more than they do about iPhone photos for Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm finding that too many prefer saving their cash and just using their phones. And so finding the right clients are the ones who really value the professional photography and in value being in their own photographs, right? Not just being the one who's holding their phone, taking the photograph, but actually being in a professional photograph. It's hard to find the people locally, at least, that value it. And so what I found is that more families locally prefer mini sessions, right? So one of my goals is to find ways to make mini sessions profitable locally.
Okay.
And
nice.
you know, that's going to be hard to do. There's photographers that are doing it successfully, but sort of as an add-on to their regular business. Mm-hmm. So, and I guess I'm kind of fortunate in the way that my professional photography is not my regular business. Mm. So I have the sort of luxury of making this sort of an add-on thing. So that's one of my goals, is to really restructure my entire family portrait methodology to make them a lot of mini sessions in different locations and make it profitable.
So the profitability is always the trick. That's always the key. And but it's interesting that you say that, because having like a dual responsibility, like being not just like photography being the only thing that you're doing, that time sometimes is even the bigger resource challenge. So even, you know, creating opportunity, doing mini sessions, it could actually probably, structured correctly, be a better profit source for you than doing like extended sessions with one family. Right. You might only have that one sell opportunity. But it'll be interesting to see how you're going through your own methodology, how you're going to make that profitable, you know, for yourself. But at least you definitely can work with more clients in shorter periods of time, and potentially having the right structures to send them to be able to, you know, to get that profitability. That would be exciting to see how that unfolds for you.
Yeah, I'm thinking of using it more as a lead generation tactic that will also make me a little bit of money, but then get those people to then hire me for bigger family sessions, like full day family sessions where I just go wherever they go for the entire day type of thing. I think that's what would do well here, and it's just a matter of getting that structure in place. So
you're going to, in my understanding correctly, then you're going to use this more to help create the initial conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I'll make like dollars probably on the mini sessions for each client, you know, but then, yeah, it'll give me that conversation to get them to come back and, you know, make a lot more than dollars.
That's smart. That's really smart.
Great. Yeah.
And that actually kind of leads to my next question, because there's a lot of marketing involved. Do you have a best marketing strategy that you've used that you could share with everyone?
So, yeah. Now, this is going to be sort of classic, but what works best for me is really word of mouth from previous clients. I believe that no matter what direction marketing techniques go in the present and future and whatever, there's going to be a lot of classic techniques that are just work, right? So there's word of mouth is going to be one of them. No matter what Facebook does with their algorithms and Instagram does with their algorithms, word of mouth is always going to be the winner in my experience, at least in my area.
Excellent.
I agree, because you figure the word of mouth element is you have a third party that already knows and trusts you, and it's coming out of their mouth saying, this is somebody that I like, know, and trust, and they're telling somebody that trusts them. So like that's the best type of piece of business that's going to come to you. And a lot of times they already been won over before they even meet you, just because the value of where they got the referral from versus even when we do the advertising and we do all that other stuff in Facebook or wherever, I feel like we're still trying to compete with the 30 other people in our marketplace and still have to build rapport. And you kind of skip several of those steps when you have a chance to do that. Do you have any, do you currently, like right now, do you have like a follow-up plan or any mechanisms in place that you're open to share to increase those opportunities?
To increase the word of mouth, like to get people to refer me.
Yeah.
So I do offer credit to any clients who refer me. They will get credit towards another session. Mm-hmm. And then as far as, so that's like sort of like their incentive, right? So they're getting something back for it. But I do have sort of an email series where I give them that incentive, and then I also ask them to leave reviews on, Google, on Facebook, on Yelp, and so on, to help that sort of social proof in additionally. So there's and further education on whatever it is. So if they did a cake smash, I'll follow up with family session information. If they did family session, it's, it's another year's coming up soon, time for another family photo, and so on, stuff like that. So yeah, there's regular stuff going out. Yeah.
It's great because you kind of started to talk about this, like, oh, this is something that is old school type thing, but it's so foundational. Yeah. Everybody's so much running after like the new idea, the new technique, and they're not looking back going, wow, I've influenced all these people and I've never incentivized or asked them if they would recommend me to somebody else. So I think it's so key because I think we're so looking for that next shiny object. And even though you say like, oh, this is, basic, it's like, no, it's in a way it's almost advanced these days because nobody's doing it anymore.
Right. That's true.
I like to, because I know you have a lot of involvement in the digital world and the WordPress world and the website world, but you coming back to that old school, it comes back to that face-to-face.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm a big advocate of digital and non-digital, of tangible, and that even goes as far as for whether you're doing proofing galleries online or you're doing in-person sales. There's no reason why you can't do both together, giving people the best of both worlds. So I believe that things definitely go beyond just digital, and there's got to be some sort of crossover in various parts of it. So
great.
Excellent. So what would be your best piece of advice for a photographer that's just starting out their business?
So a little bit of history. I was a music major originally. I went to Berklee College of Music for a semester and realized that I really, really hated music theory. And so I left Berklee College of Music, went to a local county college that actually has a really good music program. Continued, I was a music recording major actually, and my goal in life was to open a recording studio. And I continued doing music and still really hated music theory. And I was constantly forced into having to do music theory and study music theory. So I decided to switch with the help of friends and family, encouraging me. I switched to photography, and turns out I loved photography theory. Now, the reason why I tell you this is because one thing that I did not learn in photography school was business, right? And that was one thing that it makes no sense now that I'm actually in a business, right? It makes no sense for a school who's teaching photography to not teach business. I had to take one business class in college for my degree, and it was like Small Business 101 that basically teaches you the difference between an LLC and an incorporation, and basically stuff that you can read in a blog post, right? So and it was literally one class I had to take. And so my best advice for anybody who would just be starting out in the photography business is learn more about business, photography, and business in general. Mm-hmm. Learn more about business than you do about photography if you're going to school for this, because photography can be learned by doing, right? Mm-hmm. Business, yeah, it can be learned by doing, but it's a lot more difficult to learn business by doing than it is to learn photography by doing, right? So that'd be my advice.
Excellent.
Yeah. I think that's great because that's where a lot of, we see it online all the time. You see brand new photographers that went through and did a lot of training, whether it was traditional or untraditional, and it's all about the imagery, which is definitely a core competency that we have to have. But their skill set is very high, but then all of a sudden they realize like it's not Field of Dreams. Like you don't build it and they will come. Like there's oversaturation in your marketplaces everywhere, and we see a lot of frustration all the time because they don't understand marketing, branding, positioning, the business side, and they get frustrated because they see other people in their marketplaces that have less competency in photography doing very, very well. Yeah, and it's because they understood the business side, in relationship building and positioning and all like that. So that's great advice. I think we need to hear that more often.
Absolutely.
These days.
Thanks. Absolutely. Good. All right. So we have a fun question for you. So if you had to relocate to a new area and no one knew who you were about anything, and you had $1,000 in your business bank account, what would you do with that money to market your business?
I think I'm going to go digital on this one.
All right.
So I think the first thing I would do is create a video announcement about the move, right? Not just text, but an actual video of me talking to a camera. I'd be talking about my services and how I can solve client problems. I would then, of course, put that on YouTube, which is the #2 search engine. So, right, don't just put it on, Wistia and Vimeo are great for, certain types of videos, but something like this, you're going to want on YouTube for sure.
Yeah.
I would then embed the video in a blog post and create a targeted Facebook ad with the video, with the video, and like one of those, you can choose what kind of button you want the button to say in the Facebook ads. I would probably choose the Book Me button. So it's very direct, and the button would take you right to the blog post. The blog post would have the information on how to book you and stuff like that. Book me. So all of this would be talking directly to the potential new clients at this new location. And I'd probably spend like $250 of the $1,000 to get some results on the ads, see what's working, see what's not working, tweak it, do another $250, and then keep going until the $1,000's just gone, right? And really, if I book one session, not a mini session, but one true session, that should be $1,000 paid for.
Nice.
What's really cool what you said, because I think it's something that people hear about Facebook ads, they hear about blogging, they hear about YouTube and everything, but we don't talk a lot because it's something in my background we did all the time. But we call it in the marketing world it's called split testing. But exactly what you said is tweaking. That I think so many photographers out there, they think like they have to get it perfect right out the gate, and they put it out there in the world, and they're like, they place an ad and they spend like $100, and they're like, oh, like 2,500 people saw this ad and I didn't get one booking, and blah, 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 and they get really upset. And it's that key little thing that you said, which was very quick, but I think it's so important, is that you take it and you look like what worked in that process and what didn't. And now change it. Maybe you need to redo your video. Maybe you need to redo your headline. Maybe you need to redo your blog or your call to action. So, so many people don't think about that. They would just put the whole $1,000 into one ad, like in seeking that it was perfection, and then they would be really upset when they didn't have that $1,000 at the end.
Yeah. So I got a couple tips to go along with this, right? So the first would be in the actual video ad, videos on Facebook do better typically when there's the subtitles, right? And because when you're viewing on the phone, the video is muted by default. And so you're scrolling, you're actually going to see the video playing if your video is set to autoplay with the text on the bottom, of what you're saying. So, for the video that I'm using in the ad, I'd have the subtitles, and Facebook will automate this. You of course, hopefully, if you're doing a video like this, it's scripted so that you're cutting out your ums and stuff that we're probably doing on this podcast. So you can edit what the subtitle is, but in the end, you're going to have a really cool subtitle that will be in your ad as well. If you want to go to a further extent, you can even do this manually and create the video to be a square. So it's white at the top and bottom, and then the video is in the middle, and your text is actually in the white. That grabs attention even more. And then the last thing I want to say about split testing actually is on your website, you can do this for free using Google Optimize. 100% free. And you can do as A/B testing. I think you can go A to Z. You know, there's no limit how many variations you can do. But you can do for free A/B testing on your website. And it doesn't matter if you're using WordPress or Squarespace or whatever. They make it so easy. Google makes it so easy to do this. So there's no excuses for not testing your content on your landing pages.
Nice.
So, and what was that? Google, what was
Google
it?
Optimize.
Okay, so the Google Optimize. So, well, is it Google traffic that will send it either to A or B, or?
Yeah, so you basically you put the script, the Google Optimize script, sort of like you do for a Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics. You put it on, in your site, the source code of your site, and then from Google Optimizes, from the interface, it brings up the page you want to optimize, and you can literally change an image, you can change text, change colors, all that kind of stuff. And you set, each change is its own variation, and then you put it live. And yeah, when you go to it, it will randomly pick one, and then for however long your testing is, it will give you the result and then put that one live.
Great. So hopefully everybody understands. So what this means is, let's say you're targeting families and you're putting a session ad out there. And when people hit your page, the specific page that you're sending them to, we commonly call it a landing page. And that page, typically, you don't want to have all your menus and everything on your normal website that'll take people off that page and go in 15 different directions. You want it to be clean, all about the message, the follow through, and what that ad's about. And what you're saying is, using it, Google Optimize, you have the ability where it could be like a certain type of family, one time other people land on the page, or a different point in time, it could be a different family. Maybe it's just like a single dad or a single mom, or a combination.
Yeah. So I was going to sort of go in that approach, but actually say, races, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in an area where there's such a there's a lot of Hispanic people in my area, a lot of Caucasian people in my area, a lot of African-American people in my area. So, it sounds like horrible to say it. Really, it does. It sounds horrible to think that, hey, this might work. But it might work better for me to change the image to be, a family who's Hispanic. That might make me more money. That might get me more clients. So, you can test literally what image is showing in a certain spot to see if it does better. It's something, I hate, using that as an example, because it just sounds horrible to do that, but it's business and it might work.
Yeah, well, I think at the end of the day, you are purposely making sure that people know that they're welcome, and you photograph everybody. And there's no mistake then when we go on the TV and we turn on different channels and watch different shows, you can see the shift even in like a McDonald's commercial or, any other, multi-billion-dollar company, that they are specifically targeting the audience they believe is watching those shows. So, I mean, it's ethically, I think it's done to all of us all the time, everywhere, at all points in time. I'm getting served different type of ads now that I have my relationship status saying married than when I had it single. When I had it single, I was getting all kinds of, Facebook ads for Match.com and eHarmony.
Yeah.
I mean, like every element that you can think of.
And now it's like get your 401k in place.
Why are these AARP ads showing?
Yeah, what's up with that?
I'm turning 45 next month and start seeing a different type of ad.
I'm just curious, for someone that's totally new to video, I know this is like you kind of went on the digital, like how do you even, what would be a tip for them that's like totally new to video, this is kind of out of their element?
So we're talking to photographers here, right? So you as a photographer probably know a videographer. And hopefully, a videographer who's as good as you to make people feel comfortable. So hire somebody that you're friends with, right? So a videographer, or if I guess you're moving to a new place. So, get a referral to somebody that knows, and get, hire a professional. If you're not good in front of a camera, hire a professional to help you feel comfortable in front of the camera. And that way there's no risk of you, acting silly or anything like that. You just get down to business.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
great.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
Perfect.
So is there anything that you do on a regular basis or a success ritual, something that you do consistently that you think contributes to your success?
So this is going to sound cheesy, but dinner with my wife and daughter is my ritual. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
we sit at the dinner table. She's still young, so sometimes she's not staying at the dinner table, but we have a great meal and we talk about whatever. And I feel like being able to afford a house, food, have my family, and be comfortable is a sign of success. And so that's my ritual.
No, that's good. That's good. I think a lot of us, we have to remind ourselves every once in a while to, go back to, we talk about setting boundaries, because I think as solopreneurs or, business owners, we're running around and we're always goal oriented and looking for the next thing, and we forget why we're doing all this, and to come back to your purpose and your why and make sure that that is nurtured. Because I think a lot of, families and personal time, personal care gets destroyed a lot of times while we're so hyper focused on the chase of the business and the thrill of expanding whatever success means that we place in that. So that's great advice.
Yeah. Good.
Thanks.
So what about any business tools or resources? Is there anything that you use in your business that you can't live without?
Yeah, Buffer. Have you guys use Buffer?
We have in the past.
Okay.
We've used a couple different ones. So
Okay, so for those who don't know, Buffer is basically a tool that lets you automate posting to different social channels, and it has saved me hours of unnecessary social media time. I call Buffer my semi-automation tool because yes, you're automating what you post on social media, but you're not automating your replies and your engagement there. So you're semi-automating because you're just automating the initial push out to these different channels, the initial content. And then I either, have to go on my phone, go on my computer, whatever, if somebody replies to reply. But I don't have to be on my phone or computer at any given time to actually do the original post. So Buffer lets you choose what days and times you want your post to go out. Each individual channel gets its own schedule, and basically what happens, you just add to your Buffer and it adds to the queues for each channel and goes out that next given time. So I've been doing that for years. I've tried using CoSchedule and I loved CoSchedule, and then they raised their prices, so I stopped using it. But Buffer's like $100 a year for their paid plan, and you get so much. And I also use a WordPress plugin called WordPress to Buffer Pro, which allows me to have complete control over when I post a new blog post. It also automatically goes into my Buffer queue.
Nice.
And I have content for 30 days following that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It's thinking ahead and making these systems so that you have something in place so you can spend time having dinner with your family. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So that saved me hours, and will continue to do so. And it's such a good investment in really any business. Mm-hmm. So I use it for my photography. We use it at Imagely for all of our websites and social channels, and it's fantastic. So.
Yeah, we're really big into batching and to scheduling, and I think a lot of photographers don't realize that. They think they need to be on 12 different social media channels at all times of day and night to stay relevant, and they're just so burned out on actually being live and active. And I've yet to see Facebook send us a paycheck for making sure that we're working for them, but I feel like a lot of people act as if they're getting paid by the hour. Because they don't want to miss anything, we jokingly say that, but it's just something. It's great to see that you utilize tools similar to what we use as well, because you get your life back in a lot of ways. I think that's
for
sure. And consistency too, because if you can schedule, and I have to say that I'm the worst at it. She's the one that actually does it.
I'm the geek on that, but I love it. I love it because then when you have a good schedule and you have it all scheduled out, then you have more time to focus your energy on the things that you do really best, and then also having that free time. So
the one area of Buffer that's not fully automated as far as sending out to social is Instagram. Right now, it prompts you with a push notification that you have to post. You do have to grab your phone and do it, but that's like a minute or two out of your day to just actually hit post to Instagram, paste, and you're done, But but yeah, but otherwise it's, man, is it a time saver. So,
Love it. Love it.
You don't have to think about it. I think that's the key. Every
Yeah.
time I leave it here as I get older, that's a bad.
So last but not least, what are you working on now, and how can people get in touch with you?
So right now I'm working on a couple things. I'm working on revamping the whole family portraits that we talked about earlier with the mini sessions and that sort of funnel. My wife and I are also in the process of adopting. So we have a big fundraiser, which is why I've got a mess over here, is we're doing a giant family portrait fundraiser for the adoption. And yeah, that's really what I'm working on. Those are the two big things right now. And of course, stuff for Imagely is always ongoing, but, and you can find me at scottwyden.com or imagely.com.
Excellent.
Great.
Excellent.
And we'll make sure we post those links for everybody
Absolutely.
as well.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Thank you so much. And you've given everyone so much information about things to think about, especially on that digital world too, because that's like your wheelhouse with there too. So thank you for sharing all those tips. Yeah,
no problem. And it's definitely important for everybody to remember that while digital is important, your website that's your business card. That's essential. Finding a way to connect it to offline is definitely an important thing, no matter what. So, the classics will never go away.
I love it. Love it.
And again, thank you so much especially after reading that bio, thank you so much for having the time.
Yes.
But it was great talking to you. Very insightful.
Yeah,
thank you.
For sure. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Talk Talks, sponsored by Photographer Entrepreneurs Association. And if you haven't had a chance to check out the association, go to photographerentrepreneur.com to learn more about photography business resources, templates, training, and support. We'll see you over there.